Healing your jealousy doesn't mean you will never meet jealous people again. And being healed doesn't make you superior, it makes you responsible. And of course, not all jealousy is a red flag. Some jealousy is a healing opportunity. Today we're gonna see that we can heal jealousy coming from the other person. Internally, of course, but maybe who knows also, we can help the other person in the process. This is part of the playlist Healing Jealousy in Rotational Dating and Dating for Marriage. A full season, a full discovery of what to deal and how to deal with jealousy when we are rotational dating, when we are doing this traditional dating and dating for marriage in general. How to apply these concepts. In video 1, we made a powerful belief shift. I healed my jealousy, I am regulated, I am conscious. And this is necessary, this is beautiful, and this is real progress. So if you did not watch video 1 and you feel like sometimes you deal with jealousy in a way, I recommend to go back to it. Here it is in the description. So yeah, like I was saying, this is necessary, this is beautiful, and this is real progress. But a new limiting belief can appear if we don't address it consciously. We think, because I healed my jealousy, I should not tolerate jealousy in others. Okay, this can be partially true, and if this is a boundary for you and you want to take it to the extreme, it's also okay, we all know our needs. But this can show up as, if someone is jealous, they are behind me. If he's jealous, he's not on my level. If I feel regulated and he doesn't, I should leave immediately. And this belief, like I was saying, is not wrong or malicious. It comes from, sometimes, healthy pride after deep inner work. Or it can also come from a relief after years of suffering. Or sometimes an unconscious fear of falling back. It can come from these three very often. This happened to me. But if we don't integrate this new learning, this recovering from our own jealousy that we did, an unconscious fear can appear. This can turn into emotional rigidity, like being very stiff about it, spiritual or emotional arrogance, and even confusing discernment with superiority. And this is exactly why this video number 2 is needed. What we are going to learn today. First, a new paradigm. Healing your jealousy does not mean you are done healing, and it does not mean others must already be healed to be worthy of love. Or said in a more embodied way, wisdom is not rejecting unhealed people. Wisdom is knowing who is willing to heal. So this video is about not becoming naive, not becoming arrogant, and learning to discern from the body, not from the ego. And this is essential for rotational dating, early marriage, and conscious real relationships with real humans. So you may be wondering, I told you the story of how I healed from my own jealousy back when I was 19, 20 years old, and the process and how I've developed it longer in my life up to now when it's more perfected. I started healing back then, but now when I'm 33, it's fully perfected. You want to know probably how I earned and learned this part of the process, because this is a totally different story. So I want to share my story because I didn't learn it from theory. You can learn it from theory from me, and I hope you don't go through this. But in my case, I learned it from the practical side with my own story. It was through a long relationship, 5 years, where jealousy was present almost from the beginning, from his side. At that time, I was still in my wounded masculine. I was over-providing, over-functioning, and being asked to be the woman while carrying everything. And let me tell you, the relationship didn't start like that. It started the first 2 weeks like I was treated like the queen, like like I didn't need to pay or do anything, like everything given to me, and it escalated. Then the jealousy appeared very fast. Then it escalated to me being providing, even when the relationship ended, he would not even give me back the laptop that my parents were gifting me like 7 years before that. Like it was very extreme. So the jealousy in this relationship turned into control, and control turned into something really unhealthy. And yes, it was serious, even reportable. Like even from the beginning, the things he was doing could have been reportable. But I was young, unexperienced, like I told you already. And I tell you this story because I want you to avoid these stories if possible, because they are not really nice. And they make you lose a lot of time. But here is the important part. The intensity of love at the beginning was real, very real. Even today, very rarely a memory from that first month comes back to me sometimes, and my whole body lights up. Like it was that strong, this kind of love. So that's why I always say, be careful when sparks appear. When he's too charming, when sparks appear and all of this, be very extremely careful. Because usually this means there are too many things to heal with this person. There is too much of strange connection, and usually, unless he's fulfilling the things that we are going to explain later, one needs to watch out here. So I share this with you to say strong attraction and danger can coexist. That's basically what you need to remember and have it in mind. What I didn't have back then were tools, I would say. Later, after years of healing, I dated again, consciously this time, and I encountered a different situation. A man who was not bad, not abusive, but deeply jealous. This happened to me in this process. But what happened, he was completely unwilling to work on it. I offered communication, I offered clarity, I even suggested doing something together to work through it. His answer was a total refusal to heal, reflect, or take responsibility. And that's when I understood the difference, and that's when I saw, okay, I grow a lot. So from this man who in the first month started doing things much worse than this new man, like years later, that appeared in my dating simply, and he became top because, he was fulfilling some things. But I was lucky that this situation appeared where he had to be jealous. And he showed his real cards, he showed that he was not ready to heal or wanted to heal or work on this or on anything. Because how you do one thing when it comes to these topics is how you do everything. And what happens if the attitude of this man would have been different? Of course, we would have worked on it and probably it would have been nothing. But he was not ready to take any responsibility. He was, on the contrary, putting it on me. And you know how this goes, So I was very lucky that I knew back then what to do, and I just ended it. I just said, okay, you're out of my rotation, no problem. So what I want to tell you with this is the problem is not jealousy. The problem is control, denial, and zero willingness to heal. So what are the 3 core points that we are going to see today so that you are able to discern, to understand how you feel, and to not react from this pride we were talking in the beginning, so that you are really ready to see if this man should stay or not. You can see in which part of the scale his jealousy is and what we can do about it. So the 3 core points that we are going to use, or techniques in this case, is IFS, body, and discernment. You know how I combine it with all my trainings in linguistics and performing arts and make it into a nice basket for you. So the point number 1, we need to separate our internal parts. This is super important because we are not dealing just with us, but we are dealing also with another person. And what happens, our internal parts tend to make a mess when there is another person involved, because we are mirrors, we are mirroring all the time, then many things can appear. So we separate our internal parts, which is the IFS foundation. if you know the work about it. If not, I will put in the references some books about it. And the goal would be to not react from this pride, from this fear, or from this superiority. Oh, because I healed one part of my emotions, then I'm better than you. This is actually not like that. And we're gonna do for that a guided exercise. We take a deep breath, we close our eyes, and we are gonna ask to ourselves which part of me feels irritated, triggered, or superior right now. Then we are gonna locate it in the body. So we've identified, now we have to locate it in the body. We can put a hand on it so we don't forget, or just, try to remember in a way. And then we ask, which part of me feels compassionate, grounded, and curious? And this teaches something essential. You are not one voice, you are a system. And when you do this, you stop taking things personally, you stop reacting from ego, and you stop cutting people off just from fear. So this little exercise, when you listen to this part, of you that feels compassionate, grounded, and curious, then you observe it, and then you can heal it from beneath. You can tell your whole system, you can tell this part who is irritated, you are not one voice, you are a system. And therefore you can say thank you for bringing this up. Thank you for bringing this irritation to me to help me notice. Now I'm aware. Thank you. I can let you go. So you don't turn into this ego and you start blaming everything on someone else and go into this cycle. So just keep it up like you are not one voice. You are a system. And just calm this irritated part of you and let it go. I know I take notes. Let me know if we should talk tomorrow about it and try and find the place and time to talk again with this part of you. And maybe that's over, Maybe that was it. Maybe it was your own fear from the past, from me telling you that this can happen, So then we can let it go. And then you will stop taking things personally, reacting from your ego, and cutting people without a reason. What is the point number 2? Listening to the other person's jealousy without absorbing it. Super important. We are not a sponge. We don't need to absorb everything that people say about us, about them, about whatever is around us. This is an opportunity to expand, It's a request to expand. And this is where boundaries and compassion really meet. First, we have to look for clarity. Because listening is not the same as tolerating abuse. You need to remember that. And empathy is not the same as abandoning yourself. And understanding is not justifying control. So you can listen, you can be empath, and you can understand, or try to understand at least. And that doesn't mean that you will be abused or that you will be abandoning yourself. Remember you have a support system, you have coaches, you have communities, where you can be protected from your inner person, but also from many people around you that you can tell your story and they can tell you, okay, watch out, or okay, this is nothing. You always have experts around you can ask. So you don't need to be over judgmental about everything you hear. Not everything is danger. So when someone expresses jealousy towards you, the question is not, how do I fix them? This woman in a high-achieving woman in masculine wound, like sometimes we were, how do I fix this? We want to fix everything. No, the real question is, how does my body feel around this? Or does my system contract or stay open when I feel this? Do I contract or do I stay open under these circumstances, under the moment when I'm listening to this? Does the other person calm down when they are met with my presence, actually, when I'm listening? So these 3 questions is the first thing you need to do. Not so much how do I fix them, Maybe they don't want to be fixed, and that is also okay. Probably they are not for you then, but you don't need to fix anyone unless, if they want to, you can show that there is a way and you can be the example, but you cannot really fix them. So another option that you can do after you ask yourself these questions, and if these questions are positive, like if your body feels good around it, if you are, of course, they are talking about it with you in a relaxed, calm way, and then your system stays open because they are telling you what they feel in a normal kind of way. Then probably this is not a problem. This is just something that appeared, and it can probably appear in you too. So usually should not be a problem if these replies are positive. And what you can do, given this moment now, is do a simple co-regulation practice with him. If it is appropriate, if you are in that stage, if you are in the first 2-3 days, probably not. But if you are already in a high state, if you already know that is like high compatibility, then probably it's a good moment to do it. So you can have your hand on your chest, you both together. You can be looking at each other or start with eyes closed and then open it at some point when it's more relaxed. You will do some slow breathing together, try at the same time. You can try and hold it on the inhale and hold it on the exhale at the end too. And you can say a grounded phrase, spoken or internal. Usually, if you're doing together, it's better spoken, so that you can both say it at the same time. And this is powerful. I can hear your concern without abandoning myself. And this will be very good for both of you. And this moment is the best diagnostic you need, because you can observe at that time, do they soften or escalate? Do they take responsibility or blame? Are they curious about themselves or defensive, And these are the 3 key points you need to observe when you are in this moment, when you are dealing with this jealousy from them. And this is real discernment, not mental analysis, mental logical analysis, and then we talk to him in the logical, mental way, and he will not even understand, because he understands our emotional part, not so much this logical, mental. They are not interested, they will ignore it. So focus in this real discernment, in asking yourself these questions. And it is very important to say this clearly. You do not need to tolerate jealousy, but you also don't need to reject a good person, a good match, someone that fits your love list, just because they are still healing a little bit about it. Point number 3. We will now evaluate the willingness to heal. I would say this is the real key. I think this is the real key. The others are okay, they're very important too, but this is the real key and the most important point of this video. Because, healing is not about percentages. Someone can be 80% healed, but unwilling to look at themselves. I found some cases of this. Wow, so many men, they look like they are not jealous, and so you say, okay, he's cool, he's not jealous, everything good. But then years later or months later, you realize, okay, he may not, but this 20% he has, he cannot look at himself. And then this doesn't only translate into jealousy, but other things that are even worse. So the person who cannot look at themselves, let me tell you, doesn't matter if they are 90% healed in almost every aspect of them, but this 10%, can become really big because they are unable, and they will mirror it so hard on you because they cannot see themselves that you will start mirroring back, you will start having this, if you were not a selfish person, you will become this 10% selfish because he's putting it so much on you. Or if you were not arrogant, you will become a little bit, because when you are so much with their energy, this can happen. So imagine this person, 80% healed, okay, but unwilling to look at themselves. Then look at someone who is 40% healed, has worked on this, and deeply committed to growth. Then the second person is usually the safer choice. You can say it clearly, just repeat it with me or write it down. I would rather date someone at 40% healing with full willingness and openness than someone at 80% who refuses to do inner work. What are some signs of willingness then? This is key. 1. Openness to conversation, not jumping around and escaping when there is a difficult conversation appearing. The second is accountability. Third, curiosity. Fourth, ability to pause and self-regulate. They are not in a rush for you to talk about what happened. They are not in a rush to talk about what happened to them, to you, they really take the time. And if you tell them, okay, I need some time now to process this, would you allow me? They are not insisting, They are curious and they want to know and they want to hold you accountable. But they say, okay, sure, please come to me, or I will get back to you in 2 hours. Just let me know. How does it feel? And what are the real red flags here? Denial, victimhood, control, and refusal to reflect or heal. And this rush, being on a rush to identify what happened, So these are the real red flags about it. We are going to do now an amazing exercise to integrate the 3 key points. I would say this is also one of the most important parts. And of course, to make it more fun, we're gonna use one of my techniques that I got and adapted from performing arts. So now we integrate everything. Close your eyes. Imagine 2 characters inside your body. One is the wise queen. Another one is the defensive protector, the warrior. And notice, once you have them identified, you can maybe see them or see some color or some shape that determines who they are. And now notice where each one lives in your body. Where are they? How they stand, how they speak. And ask yourself, who is leading my decision right now? Then consciously choose to respond from the wise queen. Just observe it, just focus on it. Talk to her, say, what do you want to tell me today? How do you feel about this that is happening? They will talk, trust me. You can have your journal next to you because they will talk. And if you focus on listening to the wise queen, trust me, you will feel it. And this is embodiment. This is discernment. This is feminine authority. Trust me, this wise queen, you have to take her into account. And what video would I say that you can watch next? Of course, the third part of this playlist is how to heal betrayal and cheating wounds in dating and marriage. Because yes, we talk about how to heal when I'm super jealous. I still did not heal about it. Then we see what to do when jealousy comes from the other part and see how to discern, is this worthy or not? Should I take this or not? We can evaluate, let's say. We work on our boundaries and our internal discernment, and this is beautiful. This gives you so much power. But there is, this work where sometimes, even with so much inner work, so much value we have, we listen to the wise queen, we think we chose, we have in our dating pool, we have only the best. But this can happen, that you have betrayal and cheating wounds appearing to you. Even in the best of the circumstances, doesn't matter how good you are doing or he's doing, this can appear, So we can suffer betrayal during marriage or at any point of our life. And this is what the next video will go about. How to deal with it like a queen, how to deal with it in the best possible way, so that you don't have to go back to point number 1, so that you can really use what you already have, what you already heal, and that you're not putting this betrayal in now all the time, everywhere, this will be the same. No, it will not be the same, okay? Especially now, since you learn so much. So, yeah, this is where we work with real trust rupture, not imagined threats. So the next one is really a big one. So I recommend that you go to the third video. It's just in the description. And yeah, what can I tell you today to close this wonderful message we are working with it today? I would say that healing does not make you untouchable. It makes you discerning. The topic of today, discernment. And discernment lives in the body, not in arrogance, not in your ego, not in your selfishness. So take care and see you in the next one.